Hello, everybody. We're going live for Tuesday Talks. Today, we're going live with an amazing person called Samantha. Now, Samantha helps women entrepreneurs build their brand through authentic storytelling and social media creation. So, let's bring Samantha on and we'll see what her story is and how does she help.
Hello,
Hey, Samantha, how are you doing?
I am good. How are you doing?
I am great. Thank you very much for hopping on to the talks for us, and thank you for your time as well.
Yes, thank you for having me.
So I've done a short introduction for you already, but obviously you're the best person to let us know who you are, what you do, and the biggest question of all is why do you do it?
Yeah, so why do I do it? I love those questions. So I have kind of two pieces to my business. So for today, we are talking about how I help women entrepreneurs uplevel their creative content through authentic storytelling. And so then my other brand is really helping trauma survivors share their stories through blogging. So they're all kind of interconnected, and blogging is kind of that middle piece that kind of binds us together. And so how I got started was in 2014, I started blogging as a way to share my story. So I started blogging as a mental health blogger, sharing my journey, sharing my trauma that I had kept secret for 11 years and sharing it kind of with the world. I figured that would be the safest way to do it. I didn't expect people to read it. I think it was just, I've always been a writer. And so I shared it, and all of a sudden I started getting these messages from all of these women saying, thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for being so real while you're doing it. You're not alone. And I was like, oh, well, that took a turn that I wasn't really expecting. And so that my thought going in was, I'm doing this for myself. Someone needs to hear my story. Somewhere there's going to be good come from it. What I didn't realize is that by sharing my story, it's really a two-way street. So I'm helping other people, but those women who took the time to message me and to say, hey, you're not alone, thank you for sharing, they were really my cheerleaders. They were my support system to keep going on this journey of rediscovering who I was, falling back in love with myself. And so I've been blogging since 2014. I've gone through like huge changes. My business has evolved. I didn't start a business until 2016. And even from there, originally I was doing selling subscription boxes for women, self-love, really to bring self-love and self-care into women's lives. And during that process, I really began to fall in love with small businesses. I specifically did women-owned small businesses for the subscription box. They were Canadian-made products. And I started to realize that these women who had these beautiful businesses, the whys, right? They're incredible. You have a business for a reason. I mean, it really is a passion project. It's not just because it's easy, not at all. And so I really started to fall in love with why these women were starting their stories. But I began to realize that a lot of them, they're not sharing that piece of their business. They think that they for some reason need to separate who they are, separate all that storytelling, and keep their business. But as an entrepreneur, there is no separation. Your business is you. It comes from you. It's 100% you. And so that's where my love of women entrepreneurship came from. And so then from there, once I closed the subscription box business, I had decided, you know what? I love blogging. I'm just going to be a freelance blogger for women entrepreneurs. So I did that until January of 2020. And my friend was like, you should totally do a workshop and teach people how to blog. And I was like, oh, sure, why not? That sounds fun. And so I did it, and it's like when you do something that you just know you're supposed to do, everything just feels like perfectly in alignment. And it just like, in that moment when I was up there and I was teaching these women, it was like, this is where I'm supposed to be. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. And so that's in February of 2020, after the workshop, is when I started to help women start their blogs. I didn't focus it on trauma survivors, but it was in about 6 months from then is when I noticed that everybody that was coming to me was a trauma survivor. And I think it was because I was so open with my story, and they saw they saw the process firsthand, that it made me feel safe enough for them to come and say, hey, I want you to help me with my story. And so I did that so I've been doing Creative Purpose from January of 2020. In June of 2021, I was accepted into a small business program through local to me. And I was with an incredible group of entrepreneurs. I think there were 13 or 14 of us on this journey to really learn how to grow our businesses. And it was during those 6 months, that all the other entrepreneurs were like, you're really good at doing the social media and the ideas and the creative side of it. Why don't you start adding that into your business? And I was like, oh, it's funny how some people they have to point out your strengths, right? Because we're kind of blind to that.
Definitely,
Um,
definitely.
right? And so luckily I was like, okay, you know what? I'll go for it. So in December, I think it was November of 2021 into December was when I was like, okay, I'm going to go for it. I'm going to add it. And that's how now I do kind of the creative content portion of it, where I am helping entrepreneurs be able to create that content that shows who they are as a business and as a person. And then I also do the blog coaching, where I can help those trauma survivors and the women who they have a story, they don't know how to share it, but at the same time, they also want to create a business around their story. And that's really how powerful it can be, is you can build a beautiful business from your experiences.
And I love this story actually, and it's such profound in terms of how other people were pointing out your strengths to you, uh, and also your pivoting moments of when you were there teaching everybody how to do blogging and everything, and you're like, yep, this is what I'm meant to be doing. So realization of that. Although it's not what I also hear in the journey is you weren't bored of the journey you were on so far. Like some entrepreneurs or people who go to regular jobs, they get bored of doing something on a regular basis. And the reason what I hear in your story also is because you were always evolving. And that's the key that I hear also, is to always evolve in what you are doing, or adapt as you are going along, right? So you adapt to the road you're on, the journey that you're taking. So if the paths not has lots of bumps and humps, so you need to adapt to that. You need to slow down, take pace, whatever you need to do, you do that. And so I see that you've taken the evolution journey as well. You evolved as and when what was required to do. And it's funny enough, yeah, 100%. We never actually notice our own strengths, although we are doing that on a regular basis. We just think it is what we do, and this is it. That's how it's done, right? Until somebody goes,
Yeah,
actually, you are actually very good at it. And then you go, oh, is it? Really? And
yeah,
okay,
because we're so caught up in the everyday stuff, right? That it just comes second nature to us. And it it reminds me every time when someone is like, just wait, how did you do that? That I'm like, okay, just wait. I need to go back and I need to break it down, because who I'm teaching, they're beginners. They don't know what I'm doing because I've been doing it for so long. It's just second nature to me. And I think we become blind to how far we've actually come and how much we've actually learned, that we're just like, oh, it's easy. But then they're like, but no, it's not. I don't understand what you're doing. You need to slow down. And so that's what I really like, is being able to I have a ability to break something down, such as blogging, which is this huge encompassing, it has so many different moving pieces to it, but I have the ability to say, no, this is what you need to do. These are the steps you need to take. And for me to be able to break it down for someone, they can say, now I get it. Now I understand, because when you look at blogging as a whole, you're like, I have to do this, 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 this. And then people get so overwhelmed. They're like, I'm not doing that anymore. Forget that. That has way too many steps to it. When you actually break down the process and you say, no, this is the steps that you need to take. This is how you need to do it. Then they're like, that makes sense. That I can do, right? And it's just about breaking down the process. And it's the same with creating content, right? You don't have, people get caught up in overthinking it and thinking that their content has to be perfect and that their content has to be, they have to be expert level in order to share what they're sharing. When in reality, the best thing I ever read, and I believe it was in one of Robin Sharma's books, was you don't have to be the expert. You have to be smarter than your ideal client. So for me, I'm not teaching bloggers who have been blogging for 10 plus years. That's not my ideal client. I'm teaching someone who is sitting in their house being like, man, I wish I could start a blog. I only have to be smart enough to help them get started. Now, that's not saying I'm not smarter than that, but you don't have to think that you have to be this expert in this topic in order to make a difference and in order to share the content that you need to share.
No, I agree with that 100%. I agree with that 100%. You know, in terms of, you do not need to be the expert of what you are going to teach or coach. Is you just need to know enough for your ideal clients to work with. So as you said, so you most of the clients are beginners, so that's your ideal client. So for beginners, they have no idea how to start, and you are able to guide, teach, and show them how to start and everything. And then they carry on your on their journey. Further along, they will meet further coaches and entrepreneurs or other guides who will teach them further steps that they need to be doing, right?
Yeah.
They might even come back to you for further steps. Who knows, right? So
It's
all exactly there.
Yeah, I don't want to be the smartest, because that means that I've learned everything I can, and that's when I know that it's going to start getting boring for me, and I'm going to need to make another pivot. Because it's with blogging and with social media and any type of creative content, that's the bonus, is it's always changing. Nothing in this world, in this tech world, is going to stay the same. And so, and not only that, what works for one entrepreneur isn't going to work for another entrepreneur. So it's all about having fun and creating these different pathways to say, okay, you know what, that didn't work. Let's try it this way. Let's play around. Let's have fun. Because that's, I think, where entrepreneurs get lost, because they take the fun out of it. They are like, no, it has to do this. It has to do this. I have to have a return on this. And yes, you want a return on your creative content, but it's not always going to work out like that. It's all about that community building and creating those relationships, because that's what's going to bring the long-term return in, not just one post is going to get you 20 sales. You want to build those relationships up.
Definitely. You know, it's when a lot of new entrepreneurs get on this journey, they assume that, okay, if we just put these things out, that's gonna equals this amount of whatever they are hoping for, usually sales. It's not like plain and simple that way. Yes, you have to build those relationships. You have to create the content that your clientele is looking for, and that will come in time. As you said, you know, you'll try a few things, and if that doesn't work, okay, let me switch it up and try something else, which also means you are ever evolving in terms of internally and learning from what you are throwing that out. You know, every company out there, no matter how big it is, does that. I mean, I'll take Apple for example. You know, how many things they have developed until what we are seeing now, which is actually in the hands of consumer. In the hands of consumer, again, they release, let's say, 2 iPhones every year, for example. Why there are 2? The first one which was released, and then when the actual consumer is playing with it, and then they realize, oh, we need to upgrade that certain bits in there. Second version comes along but later in the year, and that's the upgrade version of what was released in the previous
Yeah.
year. So and that's how forth it goes, right? So that's completely understandable. And I love the fact that you obviously you have a growth mindset that only comes with a growth mindset rather than a fixed mindset, which is fixed onto one goal. This is how we're going to get it. If this doesn't work, it's a failure, and that doesn't get you anywhere at all. With growth mindset, you are looking at how can I now improve this, or what can I do to avoid this in my next event or next post or next whatever you are trying to do now, right? Next launch, and I
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah, and as an entrepreneur, you can't have a fixed mindset. You'll never survive because you need to be able to pivot and you need to be able to look at all of the data, right? It's not just about, ooh, this post reached 1,000 people or this post only reached 10 people. You have to remember too that those 10 people matter. That in those 10 people, you might get 10 sales, and from those 1,000 people, you might make one sale, right? So it's not the amount of people. It comes down to how am I building these relationships to really create a community. And people, especially now, people don't want to be sold to. They don't want to feel like they're on your social media, they're on your blog, they're on wherever they're seeing you. They don't want to feel like they're watching an infomercial. That's no fun. Nobody likes those. They want to feel like they're actually getting genuine ideas and creative pieces that they can take and say, okay, you know what, this is what I heard from Samantha, I'm going to go try it for a week, right? And I even just doing that in my Facebook group the other day when we did an Instagram challenge. And I said, you know what, let's just do where you go on your Instagram profile and you comment, you engage for 12 minutes a day. That's it, 12 minutes a day, and let's see what happens. Numbers started increasing because they were engaging. They're not just posting, they're actually talking to people. They're actually going out and making these these building these relationships with people. And even in 12 minutes a day, they started to notice that their numbers were going up. So it doesn't take an hour out of your day to make a difference, right? And I think that's what a lot of people get stuck into is social media moves so fast that they're kind of like, well, if I'm not there all the time, it's not going to work. But that's not how it works.
Yes, I love this. It's more like fear of missing out, right? Because now they're in it. It's like, oh, every minute, oh, if I'm not looking at it, or now if you said, 12 minutes of comments, engaging with your own post, people who've commented, replying back to those, and if you're thinking, oh, I want to see if somebody's commented, I need to reply, but if you dedicate a time to it, you can just do
Yep.
that time. No one's going to complain or get back to you, you never replied, because eventually they will receive a reply from you because you have a dedicated time, right? So they will receive and what counts more is that you have actually replied and engaged. Now, that's a
Yes,
different
yes.
story if you never did that at all, right?
Yes, I see there have been a lot of small businesses that I have commented on, and I've never received a comment back. And for me, as a consumer, that's a turn off. Because for me, it's like they're not even willing to answer a question that I have or to respond to something. And that's kind of where you can see when someone, even if you're paying someone to do it, at least as a consumer, someone is taking the time to respond to me. That matters to me because it seems like now, okay, I am more than just a number to them. I'm actually part of a community. What I'm saying matters to someone, and there's a lot of businesses that don't do that, right? That they for some reason, and maybe it just gets lost, maybe they're just overwhelmed and too busy. So you just have to have this plan in place, and that's where it comes down to, is really making sure that you have a plan and a strategy to move forward, so you're not scrambling all day being like, oh my gosh, I haven't seen my Instagram in like 2 days. Right? And I'm not saying that you need to post every day, because I think that's the super toxic environment of social media as well, is expecting entrepreneurs and expecting, I mean, everybody's a brand, right? Expecting everybody to show up every single day, when in reality, that it doesn't have to be that way. It can really be, you know what? I am going to post Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and that's it, right? And so that's when you're going to do all of your work. It's going to take you longer to build, but there's nothing wrong with slow, consistent growth, right? And I
I,
think that's what we get caught up in, right? Is no,
no,
we need 1,000 new followers right now. If not, we're doing something wrong.
yeah, no, I agree with that 100%. There's been a few times that I've said to the clients that I've worked with, it just depends on what your goals are. So if your goal, as you mentioned, I need 1,000 followers, there is a different strategy for that, and that's the rapid growth that you want, right? So are you able to then put in that time? Then we will work on that plan. Now, if your goal is that you just need to engage and create the community and get the buzz out there, that's a slow growth. We can work on that as well. You can do it rapidly as well, but then there is cost and all that stuff, because you will need to create a team who can take over whilst you are busy, because you always need
Yeah.
that. So you need to. Every business needs to create a team at the end of the day, or a system. I always call it a system. So system
Yeah.
is, how I look at it is, you have a support system, because a lot of entrepreneurs, they think when they start out, especially the new entrepreneurs and small businesses, when they start out, it's a very lonely journey, right? So they're all alone. They have to do everything. Yes, you have to do all that stuff in the beginning. You need to learn how to do all this stuff. But then you have to start creating a system, what works for you, what didn't work for you, and that's so forth, right? And this is where you have a support network within your close network already, like your friends and your family. I'm sure there is a family member who love to post for you on Wednesdays, right? There is a friend who will look at your Instagram for you on Thursdays and respond
Yeah.
to everybody, right? And so forth. Maybe that friend might be okay for you to just buy him some drinks on the weekend when you're out, right? That's the
Yeah.
that's the payment, right? And then that family member might be okay if you're just taking them out for dinner, or just buy them something from outside, or if there is something exchange, you plan, right? So there is all these things. So the network is there, resources always there. A lot of people get caught up in, oh no, we need to do it this way, and that way has to be done, and this has to be done, and they totally forget what's important, of why they have started the certain business they have started. And I love that you are able to remind them of their why and get them to bring their stories out, right? So you bring in their stories forward. What is a typical journey of a client of yours, or who connects with you to start a typical journey with you to get their story out?
Yeah. So normally we do, we'll meet. I love working with people who are close by because I love meeting them in person, but I've also do online where we will meet. And we really get down to what is it that you do and why you do it. Because I find that I have my clients fill out questionnaires, but I don't get that real vibe unless I actually speak to them, right? Because that's when you're going to notice when they light up. You're going to notice the parts that they are like absolutely in love with in their business, and the pieces that just bring them great joy. And so those are the pieces that I can take and be like, okay, we need to highlight this more in your content, because clearly this is what lights you up, right? And so we have a meeting, we talk about what they do, why they do it, what their goals are, because we have to start with the why, and we have to start with goals, because you can't really go anywhere if you are missing those two things. And then from there, what I will normally do is I will create content for them. So I just had a new client sign on, and so they're doing like my all-in-one package. So it's blogging and social media. So then I will map out. I'm a very visual person. I hate using digital planners. I hate that it just doesn't get my creativity out. So I have like the big desk calendars that I normally have them hanging on my wall in my office. And then I just start writing and saying, okay, where can we take this? Let's map out this content, this content. And it's just a rough draft. So these are just my ideas for, let's say, the first 30 days. And then I go back to the client and say, okay, this is my ideas. What do you like? What do you not like? And then we get crystal clear on what do they have coming up. So that's also in the initial meeting, right? What do they have a new program starting? Do they have a new product coming out? Do they have an opt-in that they want to share? Because that we want to get into their content as well, right? It's no point in having all of these beautiful things that people create and not sharing it, right? And so once we do the initial map out and they approve it, and that's when I will go in and I will create the content for them. So I do the graphics and the written content, and then they get to the say. So once we do the initial mapping, I create the content, the graphics, put it all into, I use Trello, put it all into a Trello board. And then they can go and they can look and say, okay, I like this graphic, but let's change this color or whatever they want. I want a different font, whatever they want. They can see the written content and then they approve that. And then I just take over from there. So once it's all approved, we just go forward with that. And um, I post it all. I do the commenting. I do the engagement. I do all of that pieces for them. And then every month, so before, let's say if you want to start in May, now would be the time we do a brainstorming session. So before the beginning of the month starts, I say, okay, what do you have coming up? What do you want to focus on this month? And that's where the content kind of we piece the content together and we make a strategy and say, okay, this is going to go here. And then once I'm into their content, they get a weekly update from me. So every week I will send them an email and say, this is what was posted. This posted really well. This one, hey, it didn't go so well. We'll figure out why, if maybe your people just don't like it. So then we'll just kind of revise from there. So then every week they're going to see their insights. They're going to see what was commented on, how many things were posted, and see all of their numbers. Because I think as entrepreneurs, we want to see the numbers. But then I think at the same time, we get number obsessed. And we're like, oh my gosh, this week was awful. What happened? And it's like, you know what? It was an awful week. I mean, we're all going to have those weeks on social media that we don't get the engagement that we want. It can be, hey, you know what? It was a holiday weekend. Nobody was on social media, right? So, I mean, there's all these different things that I think we just need to remember along the way before we're like, okay, this isn't working, right? And so that's my way of doing it, is really being able to talk to them and say, these are the ideas I have for your business. I'm really good at the idea creation. If you don't like them, we can rework it. But that's the fun part for me, is coming up with the ideas for these businesses and then them approving it and then them saying, okay, good. You have the month, do your thing. Right? Because then I just do the weekly check-ins and that's it. So they're hands-on, but they're not so consumed with what I'm doing that it's another job for them, right? And that's why I like what I do, is I can say, I can do this, just let me do my thing. You worry about the pieces of your business that you love. Because not every business owner loves social media, right?
I agree with that 100%. Yeah, not everybody loves social media, either because they're not good at it, maybe, or they've never done it before. And as you just explained, it's a long process of, getting everything at least post worthy, right? I'm not going to say
Yes.
right or perfect, because it's never right or perfect. It's post worthy, right? So that you can send it out there to the world, right? Here we are. This is one post, right? Here we go, and see what happens.
Yeah.
And what happens as an entrepreneur or a small business, you get too much caught up in the minute details that are not really, maybe didn't even really matter, and you're concerned about it. Where having a person like you who takes that burden away, and comes back with some ideas, and then bounce off ideas back and forth with the person, and then say, okay, this is this is what you've just told me. Here is what it looks like, and then they can see it. Oh wow! And I love the Trello board. I use that myself as well. The Trello boards are amazing. So
They are.
and so you're seeing everything there, and and they can then visually see it as oh okay, this is what it looks like. But hang on a minute, in my vision or in my mind, this color was different, and this so
Yeah,
that's easily changeable, right? Or the writing font or something, or you want
yeah,
to remove it to left or right, whatever that is then
yeah.
it's easier decision. It's a decision of okay, wait, this is what it looks like. Do you approve? Or if not, what changes you want? And then they can just tell you the changes, and it's done. And I love that. So that's that. This was one of your all-in-one packages, right? So you are
Yeah,
basically
so that was,
doing it
yeah,
all.
so my new client is doing it all in one. So with their package, they're doing two blogs. They don't have a blog at all. So and every small business should have a blog. So that's my advice for everybody. If you do not have a blog for your small business, you need one because it does make a difference. Um, so they don't have a blog. So my suggestion was, hey, you really should, especially because of what they do, is you really need to show that you're an expert in what you do. Every small business needs to show that you're an expert, and having a blog gives you that authority. So having a blog, and then what we do is we not only take that blog and create social media posts from that blog, now we can also create other content that is bringing people back to their website, right? And that's the bonus of having a blog is you are sending people to your website and you're building up that SEO. You're building up your domain authority. You're showing people that, hey, I can be trusted because, hey, look, I do know what I'm talking about. And so um, doing it that way, you're really going to be bringing people to your website. And once they're there, you can start linking them to those other pages, right? To say, hey, here's my services, or hey, this is what we do, this is who we are, because you want those people on your website. And by getting them to your website, you can show them all the cool magical things that you do as a small business.
So I love this exactly. I mean, uh, a lot of time I used to also think, because I'm one of those also that runs away from blogging. I cannot handle that. So social media side, it comes naturally to me. I can post 100 times a day if you want me to, which I don't anyway. If you look at my Instagram, it's not 100 times a day. Uh, I don't want to obviously bombard my clientels with just information. Otherwise, it's just like a uh, information dump happening and nothing is being taken in. So on my IG, it's just three posts in a week. They're
Yeah,
staggered onto it, and that's it. You're not going to get anything else apart from it. Helps me as well because I'm quite busy myself,
yeah,
and so I can take care of other things that are really important as well of other days. But this is something I always wondered, because having a blog, because I know that not everybody is visual and not everybody is looking onto photos or videos. They love reading because I've got a few friends who just love reading. You can give them, a 3 paragraph post on Facebook, and they would have read it all, and I would have
yeah,
just read three lines and moved on. So then there is those clients that you're then missing out on, who would have actually read the whole thing and then came back to read it again, your next post, right? Whereas if they didn't like your picture that you posted, and they would have just scrolled through and they were like, oh, it's the same picture again. Oh, this different color picture now, and go
yeah,
on.
yeah.
Didn't
Well,
bother the
and
text.
most of the time, a lot of people who come to your blog, they don't read the whole post. I mean, they skim it. And that's why having like breaking up your content and making sure that you have like the headlines throughout there, you have bullet lists in there, making sure that your content isn't just a wall of text is even going to make those non-readers be able to say, oh, here, this is the headline about ways I can improve my content. That's what I'm looking for. So then they can just skim to what they need. And so blogging, yes, it's great for getting those people and teaching those people, but it's also about building that community. So building or blogging is going to help you build that trust with people. It's going to be able to show them that you know what you're talking about, but not only that, that you're willing to teach people, right? That you're not all about, hey, here, you need to pay me to get any information from me. This is what I'm giving you for free. Imagine what I can do with the paid stuff, right? But
Definitely.
it's a lot more than that too, right? Because any search engine loves if you update your website, right? If you are not updating your website regularly, the search engines aren't going to favor you. So a blog helps you to make sure that your website is constantly being updated. So when they crawl your pages, they're saying, oh, look, this person, they have done it again. They're sharing their knowledge. And it's not just about keyword stuffing like it used to be, where when blogging first started, all you had to do was put keywords in every other word and you were ranked, right? It's a lot more than that nowadays, which sounds scary to people, but it's not, because it comes down to, are you talking naturally, right? Are you helping people in a natural way? Yes, you still need to use keywords, and there's specific places that you should be using keywords, but it's not about the keywords themselves. It's how you're using those keywords to get people there, right? And it's about how your language isn't just, when I say you need to know how your audience speaks, it doesn't come down to, are they speaking English or Spanish or French? No, it comes down to, what words are they searching for in Google or in Yahoo? What are they going to when they typing in? You want to use those phrases, because that's you're telling Google, this is how my audience speaks, and be able to say, I can speak their language, show them my stuff.
And I love this. And you're right. You know how everything is evolving into so smart. You know, it's become so sophisticated now that all those keywords and everything are not the only thing that only work now. So you have to have a much more better content or material as well. So and I love you know, I love that the fact it's evolved into that. It's not just, oh yeah, I'll write 3 lines and then write 10 keywords in there,
Yeah.
and that's it, you know. So that was just a useless post then, right? And you lose more instead of gain anything from it.
Yeah.
And I love that you shared this. It's an essential thing for everybody to understand. So the question is that, you know, you've been doing entrepreneurial journey from a very long time. You said 2016 or 17, was it?
Yeah.
Right?
2016.
2016. So from there, and so how was that journey for you when you first became an entrepreneur for yourself, or were you an entrepreneur to begin with? You know, you never did any regular jobs, and you're like, yep, no, I'm just gonna boss myself.
Yeah, I never thought that I would be an entrepreneur. In university, my first degree that I was going for was international business, and I absolutely hated my business course. I absolutely hated it. And I was like, there's no way I can do this for a living. Like, no way I could do business related stuff. And so when in 2016, I was pregnant with my third child, and I was working, I was doing a healthcare job. And at that moment, it was like, I can't keep doing this. Like, I'm working 12-hour days. I'm missing out on so much. Um, so I am a big believer in just jumping in. When you get an idea, just go for it and then fix it as you go. So that's probably one thing my husband absolutely despises about me, is I am not an overthinker. I just jump in and go with the flow. And so when I started in 2016, I originally started as I was already 2 years into blogging, and I had learned a whole lot of stuff. Like, for me, it was all about learning how to love myself, doing that transformational journey. And from 2014 to 2016, there really wasn't a huge self-love movement like there is now. And so I didn't have anybody that I could really follow and learn from. And so I was like, you know what? I'll teach women that. So I did. My first ever thing was I called myself a life coach. I don't know if I really was a life coach, but I had 2 women sign up for my program, and it was a 6-week program to help them kickstart their self-love journey. Um, and from there, I realized from there that I wasn't reaching who I wanted to reach. Something was missing and I couldn't quite figure it out. And so my subscription box idea came to me in my sleep. And so I remember waking up in the middle of the night, writing it on a post-it note next to my bed, and then just going back to bed. And I woke up the next day and I went in a Facebook group, a local Facebook group to me, and I said, "This is my idea. Are there any entrepreneurs who want to join me?" And I got tons of women that said, "Yes, yes, me." And so in less than a month later, I had my first box out. And so I love I love being an entrepreneur. I think there's this huge misconception is that it's easy, is that all you need to do is follow your passion and your life is going to be made, everything's going to work. And so you can't go in thinking that it's easy, because being an entrepreneur is not easy. There are days, I've had way too many days where I've just wanted to say, forget this. It's going to be way easier to just go work full time somewhere. But then again, it's like my life doesn't work that way because I have kids. It's not easy for me to just go and say, okay, I'm going to go work. But I've always been someone who has to work. I love working. I love being able to provide for my family. And so it is not at all what I expected it to be. I expected it to be, hey, I love doing this. It's going to be easy. It's going to be simple. I'm going to be able to figure this out. And it has had its very high highs, and then it has had its very low lows. But I wouldn't change it because I absolutely love what I do. Even if I don't have a client, I still love teaching people and saying, this is what I'm doing. This is how it helped me. Now let it help you, right? And I love being able to just be someone that even, I spoke to someone about a year ago and they messaged me about a month ago and was like, oh, I still love you. I'm joining your group. I bought your book. And so you don't realize the impact that you have. And I think that's why I really like being an entrepreneur is it's not about, for me, it's not about those people who are commenting. It's not about the people who are signing up for my products or services or anything like that. It's those people who I don't even know are there that are soaking up everything that I'm putting out. They're reading every blog post. They're buying my book. They're doing all of the things that I don't know. I don't even know they exist, but they're here and they're just waiting for that moment to say, okay, now I have the strength to do what she did. And to me, that is the most powerful thing about being an entrepreneur is I have no idea who's actually watching what I'm doing and how they're taking it and improving their lives. And so that is what keeps me going in this journey, because it's like I'm not showing up for myself anymore. I'm showing up for that person who is silent and who doesn't have their voice yet, because they're learning how to get their voice back.
Wow, I love this, and thank you for sharing this and elaborating more on your journey in terms of that pivoting moments that you've come across. It's amazing to hear, and I love the fact that you realize those silent people who are watching, who are reading, but maybe not commenting, maybe not making themselves known that they are there. But they are there. We know they are there, and I love the fact that you mentioned that there was somebody who you spoke to a year ago, and he's come back to you last month. So that he's still there in the background, and it's so amazing. I mean, I sometimes get messages from people similar like yourself, who I've not personally spoken for a while now, and then I will receive a message about certain post or something like, "Oh, I love this. Thank you for posting this." And I'm like, "Oh, I didn't even know you were still reading. I thought
Yeah.
you've moved on and you've successful. You're doing something else now. And I'm like, oh, okay, you're still there. And certain people, it's just great to see that your work is still being appreciated, and you are there for the ones who are still quiet, and still waiting for their cup to be full, to get that strength, to get that
Yeah.
voice, to be their time, and that's all it is. It's I love the fact also that you shared. You just go right in, because that's the way to do it. There's never a right time. It's always the right time. So if
Yep.
you've got an idea and you need to do it, you need to do it, right?
Yep.
And then improve as you go along, because otherwise that idea is not worth nothing if you're just sitting on it and thinking about it. It's then obviously wasn't worth nothing to you. You don't have that passion about it, and just diving into it, and then obviously then you need to have your high inside. Once you're in it, you need to make sure that you are safe. You're not just getting everything lost or losses and all that stuff. You need to obviously do your high inside, do your due diligence of what you're getting involved in, and help yourself to be profitable, because that's the reason you start everything, is to be
Yes.
profitable. And also, whilst you're doing that, how many people are you able to help? And all the businesses, the bottom line for all the businesses is to help the consumer ease whatever issue or problem or something that they are going through. That's the whole thing, right? And that's what every business is. Why is every business is why is I'm helping you with whatever that issue the person is going with, and that's what you need to make sure that is being delivered, right? So, and I love that that's the forefront of your ethos and your business model and everything. Is That's wonderful to know. A big question for you. So, are you the person who loves scheduling things or making a big list of things?
Yes, I'm a big planner and organizer. I feel like if I wasn't, I wouldn't know what I was doing with my day. Like, I have multiple planners on the go, to know where I need to be, what I'm doing. Um, when it comes to my content, I normally plan it out in different ways where I will plan my blogging content a month in advance. So I have April planned out. I don't have May planned out. That'll be next week. I will do May. And then what I do for like my social media content is I plan it a week at a time, because I feel like then if something big happens, or if all of a sudden I have this big creative idea, I don't have to shift a month of posts. I can say, no, you know what? I only have to shift a couple days to squeeze it in and then just move everything down. So for me, it just feels like it's a lot less complicated when I do it that way. Um, I am, I love helping people get organized. That for me is a lot of fun to say, okay, especially because with blogging, I need to know what I'm doing kind of every step of the way, because it's not like I can just write a post and share it and I'm done. All the work starts after that part of it. And so I have to make sure that um, I have I have a blogging planner that I created that covers everything that I need for my blogging strategy. I have a Pinterest planner where I map out all my Pinterest posts. It's fun for me to be able to say, this is my plan. I mean, there are days when it's like, no, I'm not going to do that plan because it doesn't work for me today. I'm just not feeling it anymore. And I don't feel guilty. So I'm a planner, but I'm also very much, if it doesn't feel right for today, I'm not going to use it, because I have to go with the flow. And I'm an emotional person, just that's who I am. And so there are days that I struggle with my depression. There are days that I get stuck in that mentality that I can't move forward, and I have those ways that I can get out of it. But some days, even though the tried and true ways that I have, just don't do anything. And for me, that means that I need to take a step back. So it doesn't matter what's on my plan for the day. I need to say, sorry, I can't do this today. I'm not going to show up anywhere and I need to focus on me. And so I'm kind of both, where I'm really good at planning and strategy and having everything set up and organized. And then on the other hand, it's, you know what? I love that I have this as my plan and strategy, but I'm throwing it away for today because it's just not working.
I love that. I love that. And thank you very much for sharing your vulnerability there as well, right? In terms of, so most of the things which are all scheduled, so everything is planned how it's gonna be. But when you are feeling like, no, it's an off day, it's an off day, then you just need to take it. And there's nothing wrong with it. That's what I'm hearing with your story there as well. What you're just saying there, and everybody who's listening to this is, there's nothing wrong with the off day. If it's an off day, you need to take the off day, but
Yeah,
take the off day and don't, but then come back the next day stronger. Just don't stay in the off day. That's
yeah,
what I always say. Take the off day when you're feeling it. Your body is telling you no. Your mind, your heart, whatever it is telling you no. Yep, okay, switch off. Take the step back, as you said. Go for a walk, look up at the sky, spend time with your kids, whatever you need to do, right? Whatever
yep,
works for you. Hit the spa, gym, whatever it is. Do that. But then come back the next day 110%. You will anyway, because you're free.
yeah,
You just got yourself free out of all that stuckness that was there. And that's one way of body sometimes also telling us you need to slow down. As they say, you get a headache before there is a serious fever or something is about to come to you. You get a headache, so that's where your body telling you, giving you a headache to, like, okay, slow down.
yep,
Some part of your body is not feeling well, right? And if you don't
yep,
pay attention, you are ill and you're in bed, right? and,
yep.
and
And
I'm just like you. I'm quite sensitive when it comes to those things as well. So I'm like, yeah, anything, I pay attention to it, because if you don't have your health, all this you're doing is worth nothing, right?
yeah, and for me, it comes down to really showing my audience that, hey, this is my life. This is what I'm experiencing. I am a huge believer in showing, because nowadays social media is so curated that you don't actually see the real authentic people. You see the highlights. And I think that's why a lot of people connected with me when I first started, was because I would post videos of me crying and me doing this and talk about, this is what happened at my therapy appointment. This is what was said to me. This is what really changed my outlook on things. And I'm a huge believer, especially because of who I work with. They need to know that the healing doesn't end, that I am still working through things. I am still trying to figure things out. I still have triggers that pop up that I thought that I worked through, and then they take me down for a day or two. But my audience still needs to see that. They still need to see that this is what I'm struggling with. This is where I am in my life, and there's nothing wrong with it. I'm not ashamed with where I am. I'm not ashamed of the ugliness that comes with healing, because you have to have both of those pieces. You can't have the beautiful without the ugly pieces in the healing process. And I think social media has made it to the point of they only want to show the beautiful side of healing, when in reality, when you are actually in that process, none of it is beautiful. It is all very distraught, and it's very um, exhausting living through that healing, that if I'm going to pretend and put on a smiley face for my people, they're not going to believe it anyway. They're going to be able to see through it. And I don't want someone to come to me and say, oh, I love your pretty feed, because that's not what I'm doing. That's not what I'm here for. I'm not here for the pretty feed. I'm here for this is where I am. This journey might suck right now, but look at where I was 6 years ago, 7 years ago. Look at how far I've come. And so that's, to me, I connect with people who are real. I don't connect with the pretty feed. I don't connect with the perfect house. That's not who I connect with. And I'm hoping that that's why people come to me, is because they're saying, I get her. she has she has messy hair. She doesn't wear makeup. She doesn't have to look perfect to feel like she's making a difference, right? Or to feel like she has to be perfect to show up somewhere, because that's not who I am, and that's not who I want to attract.
And I really love this, and that puts the authenticity in this perspective that one you use on your bio as well. You know, you're helping women to connect and tell their authentic story, and that way, you know, it's and obviously the only way that is possible is if you are also being authentic, and you know, being open at here we are, guys. This is my life. This is how it is. Today's an off day, tomorrow's a happy day, and then maybe another off day. So yeah, that's how it is. And I love the journey that you shared. You know, it's the healing process is not like, oh, always happy, always happy. There are sad days, and it's okay to be sad. It's okay to go through it. Yeah, and you just have to go through it. You know, if you wish to share it, share it. You do not wish to share it, you shut down. You shut down, and but let people know that, okay, this is what's happened.
Mm-hmm.
Be out there, be authentic about it. You know, this is what happened, guys. So nothing is happening. Oh, I didn't do this yesterday, which because that might be that silent person still waiting for your live video, your post or something, and it's like, where is it, right?
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, this is what happened. Apologies, whoever was waiting. You never know who was that person, right? That silent person, you will gain that community trust more, and that's how you're going to create that community. And I love that you've highlighted this in this episode quite often as well, and this should be the one thing that everybody should take away from it, to be authentic to yourself first, and once you're doing that, you're gonna automatically be real with everybody as well, yourself, by default. And I love
Yeah.
that you've shared that.
Yep. Like authentic storytelling, it opens conversations, right? And we need conversations now more than ever, right? We need to feel safe within those conversations. And that's what authentic storytelling encompasses. It's all about saying, this is where I am. Let's have a conversation. Where are you today? I really want to know who you are, and I really want to get to know your business, and I want to see the difference that you're making in this world. I can't do that if you're not being authentic.
Definitely, definitely. I love that. And thank you very much for sharing this. And thank you very much for your time as well. So we should be wrapping this up now. What would you like to say to the audience who are listening and watching us now, as we wrap this up? What would you like to share?
I would say just have fun. Like, just forget about thinking that you're doing something wrong. Just when it comes to your creative content, whether that is blogging, whether that is social media, there is no wrong way to do it. Show up, be yourself, share your knowledge, and have fun while you're doing it, and you're going to succeed. It might take time, it's not overnight, but really just don't overthink, because that's where we get stuck. And that's where, once we start to overthink, that's where we hide the authentic pieces of ourselves, because we think that we can't share it. So stop the overthinking. Just do whatever comes to your mind.
Love that. Thank you very much for sharing this. Is there something coming for you that people can look for, or is that a program, or how can they connect with you?
Yeah, so you can go to my website, findyourcreativestrategy.com, and see there. I am currently working on getting a do-it-yourself blogging course set up from my group coaching program, turning it into a do-it-yourself course. I am not a huge fan of videos, so I've been putting it off doing this, and so it will hopefully be ready by the end of April. But if you want to work together, I have spaces available for my all-in-one program. I have one space available for an all-in-one package, and then I have 2 spaces open for social media content as well. If someone is interested, you can find all my information and my story and all of that on my website, along with my blog. So
Wonderful. I will definitely recommend everybody who's listening or watching us now connect. And I think you're the most needed person for that young entrepreneur or entrepreneur who needs to create the system. Because what I heard from your story now is it's all about creating that system to get yourself out there, get your story out there, and be authentic as well. And you are able to bring that out with everybody. So Samantha, thank you very much, and everybody else, thank you very much as well. All I will say to everybody who's with us now, if this episode, created that spark in you, that aha moment or something that just came into your mind, it's our duty now to share this episode with whomever you are thinking of, because if it's created a spark in you, it's our duty to share that with others. We should not keep that inspiration with us, because we do not know who's just woken up or gone to bed thinking of a better day today or tomorrow. So, and us sharing or tagging that person can just create that better day for them or start on a better journey. Thank you very much again, Samantha, and everybody. Bye bye.
thank you.